Can I help you?
No, they checked over there. They're not there. 15, 25.
Ready to the picture. Hello,
Did you get a yellow paper so you know where it's going?
I think he wants to stay.
Yeah, just go on.
He's close to where we are.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He said you had a good setup there. Anyone that hasn't registered, you can come here. I guess you did. Yeah, I guess you want some money, eh? Your name tag
I'm going to let you just go on 100. Yeah, we're going after separated it. Get up to work. Get a lot.
Family's all gone already.
And then we went to Ottawa and I was trying to find some resources for the tours and his These are good old desks. There's
Just started. Oh, no, we did. Did it?
Marion, yeah? She was.
How are you doing?
I should know you, Albert here.
Yeah?
I'm young.
Oh my goodness.
Pleased to meet you. should wear the bustle because it opens everything up and makes it cooler.
Is it like
Goodbye to her.
Now you talk about the kids going to put their skates on when it's cold anyway.
I kept your program, yeah. You know, that'll be fine. I'll just... And this would be an unofficial visit. Behind the wheel of the RCMP cruiser, Corporal Jim Houston of the Altona Detachment of the RCMP. And then members of the Winkler 4-H Horse Club with the Canadian and Manitoba. Riding a 1983 Sunbird convertible, one of 62 manufactured, with Henry Fair, the driver. Moira Ford, Parade Marshal and Centennial Sheriff. Well done, Moira. Thank you for hosting. Immediately behind Moira, GV's Repair with an ATV pulling a snowmobile trailer. And we hope that we won't need that snowmobile trailer for a long time. G-Line, building in concrete with the 1998 Dodge trailer and the new 99 New Holland Skidster, Uniloader, and trailer. Ben Giesbrecht behind the wheel for G-Line. Thank you, Ben. And the Plum Coulee Fire Department with a fire truck, rescue wagon, and an example of what used to be an old pumper. By the way, those firefighters move just as fast when they're really in action. Okay, now members of the perimeter Canada Triangle Tractor Club. The first is a dune buggy with Ann Rempel and Marge Unger. Behind them, riding a General Tractor, Frank Unger. And on the Alice, Luke Friesen. Riding a 1940 case, John Weed. And the binder, McCormick Geary. Mike Brown is riding the Twin City owned by Henry Taylor. The threshing machine is owned by John Weed, McCormick Geary. Right behind the 1938 Alice, driven by Brad Friesen.
Over there.
And something you won't see every day in Minneapolis, driven by Henry Taylor. And yes, that came out that way at the factory in Minneapolis, Moline. Right behind with another Minneapolis, Dave Dirksen. Riding a 48G John Deere Johan Fair. With a 45D John Deere, Henry Neufeld. And Ed Fair is riding a 77 Standard Oliver. Following him, Herman Penner, a 60 880 Diesel Oliver. The 1928 D John Deere tractor, the owner Elmer Friesen, driven this morning by Mark Brown. Riding a D John Deere, John Fair. Let's welcome Miss Plum Coulee Co-op Jessica Reed and a 63 Ford Galaxy XL, the owner Alvin Dirksen. Welcome to Alvin. Driven by Ron. Owned by Corning J. Greasebeck, the 1962 T-Bird, driven by Dave H. Friesen, lifelong resident of Plum Coulee, he's 88. Let's welcome the guys and gals. It's a 36 musical float, 6-piece senior band from Borden, Darlingford, and Manitou. Go ahead and crank it up. Fair behind the wheel, and that's a Ford Victoria. 56 Ford Victoria, please tell. Brad Penner behind the wheel throwing the frisbees to the Grand Cherokee Plum Coulee Credit Union. Thanks for the breakfast, Brad. And one of the many vying for Miss Plum Coulee Centennial, Carla Rempel, Miss Agricor. On a 67 Chevy Impala SS, the owner David Hudson, who's just itching to do a brake stand and will not have that opportunity. Plum Coulee's oldest resident is William C. Weed in a 98 Pontiac Sunfire convertible, driven by Charles' son Ken Weed and the owner of the car, Reno Hahn. Next week, beginning Thursday running right through till Sunday, the Manitoba Stampede and Exhibition in Morris. And a happy Wanderer Motor Hotel horse-drawn trailer, owned by Stan and Gert Hebert. 21 years of raising money for the NCC, the Thrift Shop, the NCC Thrift Shop. Almost as charming as his brother sitting next to me, the mayor of Plum Coulee, Kim Port. Thanks for the party. Here's Miss Sunset Diner, Jody Falk, riding an 89 Mercedes 560 Coupe with Bill Siemens behind the wheel. Piloted by Krista, who's in the process of handing out Mr. Freeze, Krista Friesen, CFAM Radio 950. Plum Coulee Century Queens, the reigning queen and former queens of Plum Coulee. Thank you, Ken. Sun Valley Tire. How could you possibly have a parade or a baseball game without Zoe? We still can't catch fly balls. Here's Margaret Weed, riding an 86 Corvette. Proud owner and driver, former Plum Coulee native Ken Weed. And from Rempel's Heritage Farm, Aaron Rempel, horses and buggies. Let's welcome Tammy Bandman, Miss Plum Coulee Credit Union, riding Rick Rempel's Jaguar Mustang chassis kit car. Riding a 63 Comet with owner-driver Leonard Weed, leader of the Canadian Alliance, Stockwell Day and White Lorraine. Valerie, welcome here. An MP of Provence, Vic Tazen and Lorraine. Welcome, Judy. Thanks for coming. For whatever role I can play in that, you're welcome. Southland Cinemas. What's showing this weekend? Cats and dogs. Okay. Cats and dogs. And you know that the dogs are actually smarter than the cats. And a welcome to Plum Coulee EMMC Church. Here's Stacy Resendorf, Miss Global Brain, and driven by a smiling owner. It says Ford owner, John. There's no Ford. 62, 64 and power. Thank you, John. And riding a 58 Nash with owner Bill Peters, MLA of Emerson, Jack Tenner. Is this anniversary 44, Jack? Is this anniversary number 44 for you and Dora? Should have brought a bigger car. Dora got room too. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Thanks for coming. And with Archie Heinrichs leading the way, the Agricor elevator and chemical display. Here's Alan. Is that a 1915 or 23? 15? Thank you. One of the best-selling cars in the history of the automobile business. Fellow was overtaken by VW, the Model T. Thank you, Alan. Pete Hebert driving a 1928 Model A Ford. And a 1959 Ford Fairlane Skyliner, Miss Rankin Tire and Gas. Here's Jamie Ruffle. Welcome, Holmberg. From now, the Manitoba Sunflower Festival, the last weekend in July. Thank you for coming. Aloha. Following float is North Border Ag and Auto for the 35 Massey. The windows closed, so you can enjoy air conditioning. There's Ray Eastwick behind the wheel. Thanks for coming. You know, we can't throw you in the sunflower seeds, you got the windows closed. Another lifelong resident of Plum Coulee. Henry and Eva Ficus. Henry's 81, lived in Plum Coulee all his life, with John Ficus at the wheel. And the Plum Coulee Birch Church with the Rob Penner handling the waves. It was best parade wave, yeah. And in 1940 final, here's Henry B. Reed. Coulee Centennial float. Well done. Nicely done. One of the most successful publishing firms in Canada, Friesen Corporation. Hi, Debbie. With Karen behind the wheel, another Plum Coulee business, funnel back. Mother and daughter, Karen and Ashley Fuller. And a support crew right behind. Driven by John K. Lee, the 68 Pontiac, Annie Lowen, another one of the contestants, Alvin Enns owns that 68 Pontiac. Miss Happy Wanderer Motorin, Rose Laguerre, riding that Chevy Impala with Harvey Bergen at the wheel. From Paul Peters' youth, maybe not, the Arm of Rhineland. Okay, for the students, no, this is not a nightmare. This is not something you have to think about for another 6 weeks, the Garden Valley Steel Division. We'll see you in 6 weeks. Don't come back till then. A couple of very proud Coulee Braves, Melvin Clausen, Jack Siemens, and fans, number 1 and 2 fans, and a 64 Mercury sold by Wee Brothers right down the street. Nathan Knight, Jason Roberts, Radio 93.5, the perfect music mix. It's the International Year of the Volunteer 2001. Over 40% of Manitobans volunteer, the highest rate in Canada. The 1946 case, owned by Kola Helensky and Sons and Grandsons. One of the most happening events at the end of the summer in August, the Morton Corn Apple Festival. Thanks for coming. Behind the wheel of an extremely fresh 65, 8 Mustang. Brian Dirks was Jim Lowen, Plum Coulee Chamber President. Welcome Sheila Kaler, Garden Valley School Trustee, riding a Comet, a lovely green Comet. Also purchased new at Wee Brothers. And from the town of Winkler, Dave Penner, riding Harry Hildebrand's Mercury Montclair. Here's Jake Eastbrook riding a 1955 Ford 800. You look the part, Jake. Behind the wheel, a 1952 John Deere purchased new at Coulee Implement. some very ecologically sound vehicles. Doesn't matter if the gas hits 80 cents a liter, they'll be on the road. SRS International supplied that quote. SRS International. Servers are some of the best fish fries in the area. Valley Harvest Maze, Pembina Valley Fishermen's Museum. Thanks for the great food. With the ladies headlining the main stage on Saturday night, the Winkler Harvest Festival, the third weekend in August. Hello. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Sign says it all. 60 years of service. Peter's Machine Shop, Plum Coulee. Driven by Henry Day. Another one of the many businesses here in the Plum Coulee area. From the McCormick Farmer, Dennis Brown, the Global Grain Canada. Are those beans or candies? Getting ready for the mud bog on Sunday. That would be Jason Port at Bruce's 61 Ford halftime. A Massey Garden tractor with Isaac Bergen at the wheel. Pretty good corn crop. That's 20 Bergen 67 Skylark, purchased new in 1967 for $3,400. The 2-speed automatic and was used as the wedding car for Corny and Noreen, and Janessa Bergen and Mike are at the wheel. The original Plum Coulee Public Works grader and some Clydesdales owned by Stan Healy. And John Dick as well. From Rankin Tire and Gas, tire sales and service, gas, diesel, propane, and auto repair. And more suckers than you can want. And John behind the wheel of a 36-year-old truck. J.R. Welding. Mud bog is planned for Sunday afternoon. Obviously, you're looking at one of the entries from Borderview Electric. This is the Can-Am Country 105.1 FM demolition car. The International Broadcast Center in Morden, Grafton is home to this great hot country station. It's driven by Nancy Weed by Dale Welding Plum Coulee, one of Plum Coulee's biggest success stories. And another product from Manitoba, manufactured by J.R. Welding. Here's Kevin Hildebrand driving Harry Hildebrand's Pride and Joy 64 T-Bird. Plum Coulee is a fantastic sports, curling, baseball history. And this is the Plum Coulee Sports Committee. Thank you for hosting the annual Plum Coulee Sports Day. I think that's my grandpa's curling sweater. Jeff Weed with a 92 Beretta. John Weed with an 88 Mustang. These guys are racing. They want to wrap it up. Jack Unger with a 76 Dodge Dart Sport. Representing the Stanley Agricultural Society, Dwight Braun, a tractor pull stage pulled by Green Valley Equipment. Dwight Braun behind the wheel. When's the next tractor pull, what? This will be the non-air conditioned 1949A John Deere with owner Ken Weed. And providing some roadside assistance for Tony Fair in his demolition job. They're saving it for the Here's Ed Giesbrick in a 55 Ford pickup. He didn't bring the VW. Rudy Hayes and some buddies riding Harleys. Power shoots. Right behind Plum Coulee Farmers Diversification Program. But board chair Edward Dewitt behind the wheel, Plum Coulee Co-op. Well, that's it. Thank you for coming. If you take a look up, there's a power shoot in the sky right now, one of those which was in the plate earlier.
Yeah. Happy Centennial.
Again, and I'd like to bid you all a hearty welcome, shalom, Gemütlichkeit this weekend. Check your agenda pamphlet in case I forget anything. There is more information in that information tent. Make sure you take it all in, enjoy the food, fun, fellowship. May God bless you all. I hope your stay is a happy one, and make sure our town is your town. Welcome here and thank you.
This weekend is a time to look back on the development of this community and the people who brought life to its history. Many of the early pioneers to this area carried with them a dream. They brought a dream for a new beginning, for a new opportunity, and for a better quality of life for their families. What they found was a life that was not what we today would consider easy, but that brought rewards and promises for their children. These pioneers laid the foundation for future generations of residents, and they passed on many of the qualities and values that allowed them to become successful and that the residents of the prairies are admired for. Qualities such as dedication to community and family, a commitment to traditional religious and social values, and a strong work ethic. And while this celebration is partly about celebrating your past, it is as much about celebrating the future of this community and the promise it holds. From a village to a town, Plum Coulee has undergone many changes. The future is certain to bring many more changes, and with it, unknown opportunity. Whatever the future presents, the strength that you have shown as a community and as individuals coupled with the foundation laid by those that have come before, is certain to bring success. It has been a century of change for Plum Coulee, but the values and qualities those early pioneers recognized are still here, and that in itself is reason to celebrate. On behalf of my wife Lorraine and all my colleagues in the Parliament of Canada, I want to congratulate the organizers of this event and the residents of Plum Coulee during these Centennial celebrations. All the best for a memorable weekend, and God bless.
Plum Couleeites and those that would want to be. This is really a momentous occasion. Celebrating 100 years of existence is none of us, or as few of us, will ever be able to experience in our own lives. Some do. But you as a community have demonstrated that perseverance and dedication to your beliefs and the dedication of hard work and building has truly proved to be a fruitful event. I think Reverend Siemens said it best when he said you have been blessed and honored by God for the demonstration to be true to your beliefs, as all of you have been. And I think that God has blessed richly. So for that you need to be congratulated. But further, you need to be congratulated for demonstrating to the rest of the province of Manitoba and to Canadians that by working together, forming united efforts, you can truly build a community that others would be proud of to be in. And by doing that, we can work together to build a province and a nation that others will envy us all over the world, and that you have done. For that you need to be congratulated. Your Worship, we wish you another 100 years of success. We believe that this town will see a tremendous amount of growth because of the efforts that have been made and will be made. So congratulations to all of you.
It is indeed a privilege to bring greetings and congratulate you, the citizens of the town of Plum Coulee, on your centennial celebration from the RM of Rhineland Council and the residents of the RM. The long-awaited event is here and well underway. We as the RM share some services with the town of Plum Coulee. Both councils work together well, and I want to thank you for the good working relationships that we have. Plum Coulee is a good community to be part of. In the 40s and 50s, most of our personal business was down in Plum Coulee, and even to this day, we have business ties here. My dad's first farm-and-lathe tractor was bought at Unger Brothers in 1940 for the sum of $645, and we used that tractor for 10 years to farm. Today, you cannot even buy one tractor tire for the amount we paid for the tractor. As I page through the Plum Coulee history book, most of the people are familiar to me. I would just like to mention a few people who had a real impact in my life. There was John and Cleve Unger, Ben P. Kaler, remember Charlie Templin, Weld Insurance Agent, Ed and Arnold Hebert, and the former Mayor Dave W. Weeb, and the list could go on and on. All were friends of mine, and knowing most of the past and present people of Plum Coulee has enriched my life. I hope this will continue into the future. Thanks to the Coulee Council and all who have worked hard to make this homecoming a success. God has blessed your community in the past, and He will continue to do so in the future. Once again, congratulations and all the best for the rest of the day and tomorrow. Thank you.
I've been given the honor of being the president of the Plum Coulee and District Chamber of Commerce. We have 32 registered members, and together we enjoy the privileges that come with belonging to the Chambers of Commerce. Plum Coulee re-established this organization in 1998, with Moira Court being the first president. She worked countless hours gathering information and attending meetings. Moira's dedication is a hard act to follow, and I'm glad she's there with support and a great community spirit. I feel Moira deserves recognition for this. Our main objective as a chamber is that business may have a chance to develop or give better benefits to those who are in business. Due to the expanded water pipeline coming past Plum Coulee, and with the recent news of an infrastructure grant to expand our sewer system, we now have the opportunity to grow. We have had a meeting with the Pembina Valley Development Corp, putting a motion forward to do a feasibility study to build a seniors apartment complex downtown. Another focus of ours is the further housing development and business growth. This, in return, increases our school enrollment, more purchases at our local stores, gas from the pumps, repairs to homes and vehicles, and thus everyone benefits. However, all of these ideas need aggressive people to spearhead and to carry out these plans, to see that our town will continue to grow and survive in this ever-changing world that we live in. Working together as a community, as volunteers, with visions from young and old, our town will grow, and together we can claim that we did it for the betterment of our community. I'd like to thank the town for their ongoing support of the Chamber and for their part in this fabulous celebration. I wish each one of you, on behalf of the Plum Coulee and District Chamber of Commerce, an absolutely great weekend. Thank you.
I could go on to reminisce, obviously, being from Plum Coulee, about what I remember about Plum Coulee, but I know that's not the purpose of this time. Although I do look forward to sharing with some of you as the weekend progresses. I know it has been said there are two types of people in this world, those who come from Plum Coulee and those who wish they did. On behalf of the town of Winkler and the mayor and town council and the residents of Winkler, may I remind you, a lot of them which are from the town of Plum Coulee and area, congratulations. Congratulations on your 100th anniversary. Enjoy, have fun, and savor this weekend for its significance. May God continue to bless this community in the future as He has in the past 100 years. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate the town of Plum Coulee for all the wonderful festivities that are happening this weekend. I want to congratulate you on your anniversary, your centennial. It's a worthwhile milestone to celebrate. It's really great to see the enthusiasm and the participation of everyone here as you celebrate this milestone. I'm sure you've all heard this ancient proverb saying that says, it takes a whole village to raise a child. It is in this type of caring and nurturing environment that the children of Plum Coulee can grow up in and go to school in. So on behalf of Garden Valley School Division, I want to congratulate you and wish you much enjoyment as you take part in all the festivities this weekend. May God bless you as you celebrate your centennial and also in your future. Thank you.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the staff and students of Plum Coulee School, I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the Plum Coulee Centennial Celebration. A centennial celebration is a time to take pride in our past and a time to look to the future with optimism and eagerness. This weekend and the festivities that have been planned reflect this pride in our past, and it also gives an indication of the bright future that is in store for Plum Coulee. To the Centennial Committee, congratulations on a great job. You have worked tirelessly for a long time now, and your efforts have definitely paid off. To all of you, enjoy the activities that have been planned and the hospitality of Plum Coulee. Thank you.
I would just like to welcome you all here again. Hopefully you all have a great time. Please make lots of memories while you're here. Make sure you pick up your information brochure at the information up front. It will tell you what is going on, when it's going on, and where it's going on. And there is lots happening. I'd like to thank the committee. There was a Centennial Committee. We actually had our first meeting in September of 1999. It was the first time that we met to plan the Centennial. And a core committee was formed at that time. There was 10 of us, and I'd just like to mention their names at this time. It was myself, Lynette Penner, Karen Fraze, Ben Bergman, Walter Penner, Bob Lundy, Cleo Heinrichs, Ron Weeb, Ed Funk, and Aaron Rempel. Now without this committee, this would not have happened. And of course, I also want to thank the countless volunteers that are helping us this weekend and who have helped us up to this weekend. I want to say that I was really proud to see the community involvement in the few weeks leading up to the Centennial. It was a virtual hive of activity in Plum Coulee. Everyone was helping wherever they could. If that meant weeding the ditches, cutting the ditches, sweeping the streets, you name it. We were busy. So I want to thank all the volunteers that helped. And that's pretty well all I have to say. Please make lots of good memories this weekend. I think it's just about lunchtime. I see there's a lineup forming over there. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Then he has the old school days.
I'll go along with that.
I want to thank the organizing committee for the opportunity to speak. It's great to be here, and I just want to say hello to any friends that I haven't yet met or spoken to. I look forward to talking to you later. I had forgotten what a healthy place Plum Coulee is to live. You know, it's amazing how many of us are here, the ages that we're at. I look in the front row here and see Dave Friesen and Bill Weeb and think about Uncle Bob Manty, who was even older than they are when he moved out of town. Maybe we should all consider moving back. Real estate agents are lining up at the back of the tent already. When people found out I was speaking this afternoon, I was told there was a couple things I wasn't to mention. One of them has to do with a picture that proved to be very popular at a school reunion, one of our well-known athletes of our time in a very, very indelicate pose. And so I won't talk about who was in the picture, but I did have a copy made off the slide, but I understand the post office lost it. See, I told you I would mention your name, Richard. And the other thing was not to mention the story about the time we stole the school bell from Winkler School. But confession is good for the soul. And we were really quite proud of ourselves at the time. We had a little fun with it. Put on some uncomplimentary remarks about Winkler, complimentary remarks about Plum Coulee, and then gave it back to them after a week. Sports was always a big thing, and whether it was organized or unorganized, everybody participated. I can remember going across the coulee into the Oxbow where the old skating rink was. We had to wait for the coulee to freeze over before we could even consider going over to skate. Often enough, we'd have to clean the ice before we could skate. And then we'd skate until our toes froze because we really enjoyed it, enjoyed being out with our friends. Even remember playing a few hockey games out on the open air rink. Harry would remember that. I remember watching Harry, Cal, a few other guys. Jam pail curling in the CPR grounds. Lyle Wilcox. Wasn't Lyle? Yeah, Lyle was a station agent. Used to build curling ice there for jam pail curling and really encouraged us to take part in that. Baseball. From the time the snow melted away from the side of the school, we'd be playing catch, getting ready for the season. And Dad used to sell glass in the store. I used to get marked in. It was either a window from the southwest corner of the school or the south side of the Church of God. I don't know how many windows he replaced because my friends and I broke them playing catch. The pickup softball games in the schoolyards during lunch hour and football games after school and evenings. And those were the really fun games because we didn't have any supervision. In fact, I can still tell when a low pressure area is moving into the area because of the way my nose reacts. It got rearranged a few times in some of our no physical contact football games. And of course, anybody that grew up here in the 50s and 60s, my era, knows about the general superiority of the Plum Coulee sports teams over the teams in the other areas. We used to kick butt when we went out and played. And I think that's something we should all remember with great fondness. School days. Wonderful, wonderful times. I was very, very pleased to have the opportunity yesterday and today to meet two of the teachers that had the most influence on molding me and my character, Henry Neufeld and Peter Kutcher. anybody that's in the teaching profession, I would urge you to find these two gentlemen, talk to them and find out what their secrets are, because they definitely had positive influences. They cared about their students, and they turned out excellent citizens. And again, I want to publicly thank both of them for the achievements that they allowed us to make. Small classes, well, you don't hear about even primary school classes being split these days. We had grade 11 and 12 in the same room, if you can imagine it. And the classes were moved back and forth depending on the year. It was an adjustment, but we managed. The only thing I never really managed to do was get through some of the English literature that was on the curriculum. There's some books I still haven't read, Mr. Neufeld. I'm sorry, my report will be in next week. And of course the store. That seemed to be the center of the community. It certainly was the center of my life outside of school. Going there, filling shelves, sweeping. And sweeping the floor was an exercise in patience, because it was an old cedar floor. It had oil on it. I don't know how many years worth of oil, reapplied every week. And you swept the floor. It wasn't the case of going over it with a light 4-foot mop. You went over it with a corn broom. And you literally swept it. And that was done every night. Packing bottles in the back of that store. And I'll tell you, on a day like this, you lost more liquid than you could possibly replace, even with all the warm pop you wanted to drink around. And wooden cases, glass bottles. It was a chore. Cutting pipe in the back, in the tin shop area, all done manually. Threading. But the other side of the coin was all the people you got to meet, and I consider myself very fortunate, because I not only got to talk to my peers, I got to talk to their younger brothers and sisters, I got to talk to their parents, and I got to talk to their grandparents. And it gave me a rich understanding of the community, our community, plus the small communities that existed around here: Gnadenthal, Hamburg, Blumengard, Hutterite Colony, and of course even the small country schools that still existed, that were part of the rural community landscape. I had a tough time sitting down and starting this, and once I got started, I didn't know where to stop. And I know Harry's going to give me the hook here if I don't keep going, so we won't go any further on that. I want to mention some stories that I was told that'll take some of the older residents back, and the first ones are from Uncle Louis Jackman. And Uncle Louis was a character in his younger days, and one of the stories he loved to tell was about a Halloween prank that they played back in the days when they still had peddlers used to come through, who would travel from farm to farm selling necessities like sewing needles and thread and kitchen tools, small kitchen tools and things like that. There was a peddler in town one Halloween night, and Uncle Louis and his friends took his cart apart, hauled it up to the top of one of the elevators, and reassembled it on the roof of the elevator, and that's where he found it the next morning. Another Halloween night, they didn't just upset an outhouse, they removed an outhouse, and then from another house, they or yard I should say, they borrowed a litter of piglets, put them in the outhouse, carried them to the hotel. With the outhouse on its back, they opened the door and then tilted it so that the outhouse door was back to back with the door to the hotel. Of course, somebody heard the commotion outside and opened the door to see what was going on, and the next thing they knew, there was a litter of piglets scurrying around all the tables. They were not popular. They were not popular. Another thing that I remember, and again, this is such a wide cultural gap considering the electronic age we live in now. My Aunt Elsie Matty, who used to live across the lane from us, if we'd had a lane, if I went into the house at lunchtime on a weekday, I couldn't talk because Aunt Elsie would be sitting there copying down grain prices. She was employed by Dave Weeb from McCabe Elevator, and every day when CBC Radio would list the grain prices, she would copy them down and then get them to Dave at the elevator. He didn't have a helper, he didn't have a radio at the elevator, and that was how he got his prices. Today, I'm sure the elevator would be equipped with a computer and the prices would be provided hourly, but in those days it was done over the radio and then passed on either by hand or over the telephone. And a story from my mother, Lil Stewart, who was born Lil Matty, she remembers that the very first money she ever earned as a youth was to go a block over from her house on Saturday morning and light the fire in the stove of a Jewish family, an Orthodox Jewish family. They would have the fire all prepared, but they would not light the fire on the morning of the Sabbath. So she was hired to do that for them. And this shows the cultural diversity that we have had here. And that brings me to my last item. When I was asked to do this, the first thought that came to mind was the phrase when I was a child. I thought of it as a child. And like all the other backsliders, I couldn't remember whether it was poetry or whether it was a biblical verse. Well, of course, it's a biblical verse from Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And for many of us that are back here from a great distance and for the first time in a long time, we're children again today. And we're reliving our excuse me. Reliving our childhood and talking to school friends, friends of our youth, playground friends, even relatives that we don't see often. And I think it's so tremendously important that we retain this history. The book that was written, from what I've seen, is excellent. I compliment the committee on their achievements, but it can't stop there. And I would like to charge everybody that still lives here to make sure that the community doesn't rest on its laurels. Take a break, enjoy your success, but get right back to work and make sure that the history of our community is preserved. You know, we've only existed 150, maybe 120 years since the first European settlers came here. But we have seen more change than many, many foreign capital cities see in 1,000 years. We've seen waves of immigration. We've seen technology. We've seen culture. It's been amazing. We have so many people that started out here that have made successes in so many different fields. We cannot stop recording and preserving this history. And I urge everybody that is away from Plum Coulee to make a commitment to assist in preserving this. And as I say, I charge the residents that are left here with continuing on the achievements of this centennial to keep the fires of history burning and help us to relive our past as often as we can get back. It's been great. Thank you very, very much.
And David and his wife Eva, used to be Birdman, live in Center Street. Imagine that, he's always lived in Plum Coulee, and they used to have the John Deere shop, his dad and him, and then he had the Gulf oil and the BA oil, and can I go on, Kim, or just keep on the roll here?
How are we for time?
Your turn, Kim.
My turn?
Yeah.
On behalf of the town, congratulations. You're an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Henry's been living here all his life, and was born and raised here, and has always lived here. Henry and his wife Eva used to be all live on Government Road, and was glad that you were in our community.
If you're here, Henry, come on down.
Yep. Henry was a goaltender in hockey, I remember that.
We'll give you the lifetime membership award. For Plum Coulee. Thank you very much, Henry.
Good to have you, Henry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Kim, can I just read the rest here? Oldest longtime resident in Plum Coulee. Bill was born 1908. 1908 from 2001 is, he will be 93 in August. Bill and his wife, and Tina there, Tina Hildebrand, moved to Plum Coulee as a young married couple in 1938. They live in Peter Street. Nice to have you as a resident all these years. Go ahead, Kim.
It's a great honor. I'd like you both to come up, please. Team, you two. You two, come on up.
Meet him halfway, Kim. He was on town council. I think he was on the school board. I think he was on... Were you ever mayor, or were you the vice mayor? Deputy mayor. Okay.
It's a pleasure to have you both stay in town this long. I hope you're a good image of the rest of the people in this town too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. You've been an asset to the community.
I will just read what the plaque says. The Manitoba Historical Society, in recognition of those pioneers whose descendants have continued on the land for 100 years or more, is pleased to honor the family of Johann Weed, who purchased north 60 acres of Northwest Section 7 Township 7 Range, Section 7 Township 3 Range 2, west of the Principal Meridian, on the 6th of February 1889. And the subsequent owners are Johann and Anna Dick Weed, Bernard and Agnes Weed, and presently Leonard and Elvina Weed. And is presented with the assistance from the N.M. Patterson Foundation. The N.M. Patterson Foundation is very important to the Historical Society because they absorb the costs of doing this. Although we are asked to work for a very nominal salary of thank you type thing. So anyway, on behalf of the Historical Society, Leonard, and you are Elvina? My goodness, you must have been occupied somewhere else. Isn't she beautiful? Congratulations.
Well, we're hoping to get a bigger boat, either that or an add-on.
I started dancing with the guys and they were all saying things like, the only dancing I ever did was with them.
This is the real treasure chest. These fashions date back to the early 1900s, and we thank those of you who value and store these memories for future generations. It was a time of simple styles and dark colors, especially so for those believing in the Mennonite faith. Comfort was not necessarily the first consideration. Jamie is enjoying her trip down memory lane in this two-piece wedding gown worn by Anne Weave's mother, Catherine Dick, in her marriage to Abe Dell in 1918. This dark pleated model for you white carlock was first worn in early 1900s by Agatha Thiessen, wife of C.W. Thiessen of Showing Bays. Women's identity in those days was usually by association to their husbands. Elma Siemens Jansen's grandmother wore this dark dress way back in the early 1900s also. Stacy is wearing this dress today, and I'm sure is finding the fabric and the style quite warm.
You know, we actually are living in a pretty good country. We are very fortunate to have this kind of country, and we're also very fortunate to have neighbors to the south and that close to us. You know, we should actually, you know what I thought of the other day? We should have American Appreciation Day. We should accept money at par, U.S. money at par.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and honorable judges. I would also like to extend a special welcome to those of you who have traveled out here to celebrate the Centennial with us.
My history topic this evening is a recollection of different religious groups that have resided in our town over the last 100 years. So here we go. Unbeknownst to most of us living here today, the first two religions in town were Baptist and Jewish.
Well now, if you were a woman in the early 1900s, looking to get away from your husband for at least one night a week, the Plum Coulee Women's Institute was the place to be.
This was one of the 10 issues discussed in the first town council meeting of Plum Coulee on February 12, 1901. The meeting was led by our first mayor, Abram Harder.
He charges you a nickel just to shine, but you, he makes the oldest
Jamie Rempel, and Rankin & Tire and Gas is sponsoring me for this event. Education in Plum Coulee has always been important. Residents pride themselves on an excellent school program. In the early years of Plum Coulee's history, before a formal school was constructed, classes took place in private homes.
How many people in the audience tonight have $5 on them? Can you raise your hands? Most of you. Well, in the early 1900s, you could have bought yourself a quarter section of land for that $5. For those of you who don't have $5 on you, don't worry. The government was so desperate, they would have just given it to you anyway.
Because of all the achievements, Plum Coulee has developed an excellent reputation, especially in the field of sports, like baseball, curling, golf, and hockey.
Next to a coulee with plum trees, the Canadian Pacific Railway was built making way for grain elevators to spring up. This attracted businesses to the area and in turn increased population.
He considered himself a pioneer, and the railroads must have been very important for him. He told me the story. He was absolutely bald, except for a ring around here. And he said that one day a train was coming along, and he lay down on the tracks, and the force of the wind of the train pulled all his hair. And he and his partner, Mr. Brownstrap, I think it was Sam Brownstrap, they didn't get along at all, but they went on for years, running the store here, and I believe also in Low Farm.
I'd like to introduce myself. My great-grandfather, Johann Wall, my paternal grandfather, pioneered just about 3 miles south of Plum Coulee. And my father, John F., was born in 1894 at Plum Coulee. So we have been residents here for a long time. And my family was made up of 9 children all born in Plum Coulee. And none of us live here now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what happened to us between the years of 1932 and 1945. Now, you've heard a lot about the Great Depression. Well, the Depression was very real. It was very real in our family because my father, before the crash of 1929, had a large garage in Plum Coulee with the Ford Car Agency. Well, you know what happened in the crash of 1929. A lot of people lost their shirts, and he was one of them. And so we went from being a well-to-do family to a family like many others in our community, and we were poor. Okay, poor can be many things. But when everybody in your community is poor, as children, we don't know we're poor because everybody's the same. So the only people who were well-to-do or comfortable were people who were on salary, like the elevator agents, the teachers, the railroad workers, because they had salaries. But everyone else in the community was really strapped for cash. But what we did have in 1932 was a beautiful new school. And you heard the young lady referring to the school with indoor toilets and the school with a beautiful auditorium where we had wonderful entertainment and wonderful activities through the school. So that was one thing we had in our favor. We had a wonderful school, we had wonderful teachers, and I think we, as children, were very happy to be there.
to have a transplant. And the doctor said there are two brains available. There's the male brain, that's $1,600, and the female brain, that's $800. Well, he said, why is the female brain so much cheaper? Well, he says, it's been used. That was a good one, yeah. I bet the men didn't catch on, did they?
Anyway, another one that I think is quite funny was we always had veterinaries, you know. There was Mr. Weeb, and then there was Mr. Clausen and Grantal, and people would call early in the morning, you know, to get somebody out for their cow. Well, we remember this incident, and I mean, we shouldn't have been listening in, but we did. Because it was early in the morning, and you know, we could go to sleep there. We had a buzzer system, and if you connected the call and didn't watch, well, you could leave it up for too long a time. So anyway, this time the gentleman was calling, and he wants him to come and attend to his cow, and he said, I won't be home, but my wife is home, and she's very tame. I've enjoyed this get-together. I haven't been here all day or anything like that, but I think it's just a wonderful time for Plum Coulee to be able to celebrate, and for us to meet the older generation that has come here to celebrate. And I think too, well, so many people told me they were waiting for me to say something tonight, and I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of people disappointed perhaps, but that's okay. I'm so glad that so many people recognize me. I'm a little bit bad at recognizing faces, but they sure seem to know me and tell me that I haven't changed, so that makes me feel pretty good.
Telling me all about Dr. McGavin, and she was saying that if we cry a little harder, we got more jelly beans. And she said that she talked about the yellow pills and the blue pills and the white pills. I've heard so much about those pills. They were all very miraculous, I think. Anyway, I am the oldest granddaughter of Dr. McGavin, Huey's daughter. Huey had 5 children.
Margaret was also involved in 4-H. At the age of 10, she joined the Boys and Girls Club, which later became 4-H. She was a leader in sewing classes with Mrs. Lily Unger. For 9 years, Margaret led the Jolly Seamstresses. Other community. Ruth Wright remembers the event very well when she was crowned the Plum Coulee Carnival Queen. She was the high school candidate for the 1950 Carnival Queen. The students were very supportive and worked hard to make it happen. She claims she was not a good skater, and with a crown on her head, skating around the rink was a challenge. Since then, Sandra married Richard Clark, and through the years they've raised 2 daughters and now have 3 granddaughters. They've made about 13 moves. Winnipeg, Vancouver, Minnedosa, and Carmen are just a few of the places they've lived, and Carmen is still their home. Richard retired last year after 34 years with Canada Post. Sandra continues to work at Stevens Drugstore in Carmen. For Sandra, it's great to be here. Indeed, and enjoyed going to Plum Coulee for rides, as this meant they could go to Peter's General Store, and he had everything you could ask for. In February of 1967, the Plum Coulee School asked the Horndean School for a queen contestant. On March 18th, Pat was crowned the Ice Carnival Queen. Her princesses were Carolyn Giesbrecht and Irene Nicol. The carnival was an enjoyable event with skating, snowmobiling, and other winter activities. Pat married Jack Unger in 1971, and they live in Winter. They have 2 children. Daughter Kim is married to Vern Dirksen and they have 2 sons. Son Clint lives in Winnipeg. Pat works in medical records at Eden Mental Health Center and she's been there for 15 years. She says it's a pleasure to have been asked to come to this event after 34 years. We're glad you came. She was crowned the 1970 Winter Carnival Queen. She graduated from GBC in 1973. The following year, 1974, Norma married Don Wood, and they lived in Clarny for a short time, then moved to Morden, where they still reside. They have 4 children and 2 grandsons. Norma had 5 years of 4-H as a member and has been involved as a leader for 19 years. She's the current leader of the Morden Achievers 4-H Club. She also serves on the Morden Corn and Apple Festival Committee. Her sponsor was Plum Coulee Game and Fish. Growing up, Pam enjoyed many game and fish activities such as picnics, sport days, the winter carnival, and let's not forget the fishing derby. Pam's ties to Plum Coulee are through her parents, Larry and Teeny, and her grandparents, Abe and Nettie Wolf. She grew up at Horndee, but she's lived in Altona most of her life. She's been working at Sun Valley Co-op for 15 years, doing everything from being cashier to doing accounting. This fall, she will experience another milestone when she sends her daughter Candace off to university. A sugar beet festival in summer after years of winter carnivals. Carol Fair of the Gretna area ran for the Sugar Beet Queen title and was crowned at the festival. Her father raised sugar beets most of his life, and she was very involved in the Sugar Beet 4-H Club for many years. She is married to Jim Showalter, and they live in Hutchinson, Kansas. They have 3 girls, Candy, 13, Jessie, 11, and Kristen, 9. Carol is a stay-at-home mom, the church treasurer, and a volunteer at the girls' schools. She is also taking some college classes. Her parents are Zelma Fair and the late Henry Fair of Rosetown. And she is the reigning queen. She is a lifelong resident of Plum Coulee. In fact, the only 3 places she has ever lived in Plum Coulee are all located on Government Road. She married her high school sweetheart, Glenn Bannon, in 1978. They have since been blessed with 2 children, Tyler, almost 15, and Holly, 11 years. Glenn and Rhonda presently own and operate GB's Sled and Cycle, formerly GB's Repair, here in Plum Coulee. Between family, church involvement, and work, the past 25 years have moved along very quickly. We now want to make a presentation to all these 20th century queens, and Karen Fraze will come and do the presentation.
Teachers a rule. What time did they have that day at school?
hands the envelope with the names of our princesses and our new Centennial Queen. Each of the 3 winners will be receiving a monetary gift as well, which they can hopefully use to further their education. I'll read out the name in order, starting with our second princess. Second princess, Tammy Bammon. First princess, Rose Revere. And our Plum Coulee Centennial Queen for 2001 is Jessica Wee.
Time tells its own story. The village was incorporated 100 years ago. However, there are records that indicate organized churches were present before the turn of the previous century. History itself tells the story that our forefathers of this community believed this: for other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ, as stated in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 11. We have been blessed by the contributions these spiritual leaders have made. With committed people to serve the Lord, there have always been churches in the community where people could go to worship. At present, 2 churches in this town have had congregations here for over 100 years. Refer to your bulletin inserts for more specifics on each of these churches and others that have played significant roles. For a moment, I would like to exercise our imaginations. Today, we thank and praise God for the blessed 100 years our lives have been sheltered. 100 years ago, it is quite possible that people in this community gathered and thanked God for this great land, country, the peace of it, the freedom they had to worship. These first gatherings could probably have been in homes. The hardships, the deaths they had experienced, the long journeys they had endured were now in the past. The people of this community were concentrating on new beginnings. Churches were built, congregations were established. They now had common gathering places for Sunday morning worship services, weddings, funerals. As time passed, cars parked between the buggies, and a little later, buggies parked between the cars. The benches were modified and backrests were added. The wood-burning stove was replaced with an oil furnace. Zingstone was held, youth nights were organized. The people realized that more was needed for the children, and Sunday schools were made part of the morning service. Electricity was installed, So were PA systems. Today's Sunday morning worship services, weddings, and funerals are held in our churches. Do you see that we are a part of history? When you walk into our churches today, you will find plaques on the walls or church mission statements that quote these scripture verses. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13 verse 8. Come ye to the waters, Isaiah 55 verse 1. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, Joshua 24 verse 15. Not all people that have done things of historical significance or of value are listed in our history books. However, we see that collectively they, our people, have achieved. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Our choice is to watch history unfold or make a difference, contribute to the presence which will create history of value. Thank you.
to be part of this celebration. Because the greatest thing for those of us who know the Lord is that we were led to know the Lord early in life. I left this community when I was a teenager, and as many others, when I wanted to come back, there didn't seem to be the place for me, and so we have scattered. It has been my privilege to meet many people from Plum Coulee who are serving in all areas of the world. I met them in South America. I know we have some in Africa, in Asia. And just last week, as I was visiting in the hallways of our assembly in Nashville, Tennessee, I met two men. As I visited with them, they both said, "We are from Plum Coulee." I said, "How is this?" And then they introduced themselves. One is president of a university, one is dean of a college, and two of their brothers were also serving in similar capacities in Christian education. Indeed, I think we are a community who heard long ago the Great Commission to go into all the world. And maybe it was in the providence of God that we couldn't all stay around here. From our own family of 9 children, none of us could make it on the small farm that our father left us. And so we have scattered, as many of you have. And that may be in the providence of God, we've taken our place and responded to our call with whatever vocation, because we're all called to live the life of Jesus and to give testimony to what he has done for us.
I'm so flabbergasted and impressed with all the volunteers and the people of Plum Coulee that have put their time and effort into making this town just so beautiful and perfect. I can't put it into words. I thank you all very much, and I thank you all for coming out this weekend. I think we've shown you a good time, and we've made you feel at home. I appreciate you all for coming out from far and wide. There's nothing too big or too small. Everybody's just perfect. Once again, thanks for everything. Thanks for coming out. God bless. Have a safe trip home. Thanks again.
Of all the events that have been happening throughout the weekend. The Centennial planning was quite an undertaking, but I think it's turned out very well. And I think it's not bad for a small town to have put on an event like this. I want to thank everyone on the Centennial Committee, as well as the countless individuals who volunteered. Without you, this event certainly would not have been possible. And I've appreciated how everyone has adapted during the course of these 3 days, and hopefully no one has noticed the little glitches that we've encountered along the way this weekend. I want to thank my husband Bruce for keeping the home fires burning and being so understanding. He's often felt like a single parent a lot of the time over the course of the past year or so. He just told me a few weeks ago, he was wondering if everyone really realized he was married. My hope is that everyone will continue to take pride in Plum Coulee. Continue to put in as much effort into the community as you have done getting it ready for the Centennial. The town looks great. Let's continue to keep it that way. Because Plum Coulee is a great place to live.
In a town this size, there's no place to hide. Everywhere you go, there's someone you know. If you steal a kiss in a place like this, how the rumors will fly in a town this size. So it was in 51, my adventure's just begun. Saturday night on the town, with real cream in my hair. What you do, what you think, what you eat, what you drink. If you smoke a cigarette, they'll be talking about your breath. In a town this size, there ain't no place to hide. Everywhere you go, there's someone you know. You can't steal a kiss in a place like this. How the rumors will fly in a town this size. Last year in school, my first trip to Winnipeg, hoeing beets, shoveling manure, wasn't really the cure. 50 years ago, you wore wine corduroy, walking down Railway Avenue. Girls would say, oh boy, this is all is clean. I'm niet glad as Horndien. Die houdt een police over een wolk her aan de stad. Hij had rungered met me. Dans ik laat on salesman spreekt.